All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's the show where we talk about nothing but find the lessons in everything. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everyone had a good celebration. Didn't get too crazy, too wild, too kooky. How you doing? Doing another late night recording, so bear with me, folks. Hopefully nobody's making stupid resolutions they're never going to follow, and they're going to fail at it, within 2 weeks of the new year. We talk about that endlessly here on the show. The resolutions are for suckers. Make your goals and stick to them all the time. You don't have to make them every new year thinking, this is my chance to reset. We're not doing that here on the LPDS. Every day is our chance to reset and get better. Never forget that. Now, on today's show, this week's episode, we got part 1 of 2. We did a little Q&A on the Instagrams, anonymous Ask LPDS Anything situations. So we got a lot of good questions and comments there from anonymous sources. And we're going to get into those questions this week, and then next week we split them up because there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I didn't want to bore you to tears with 3 hours worth of one episode. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. All right, now, before we go, a little news update for you, a couple news updates for you. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this character. He's trending hot right now in this past week or two. He goes by the name of George Santos. Now, if you don't know who he is, you can look him up. I'm going to tell you right now, too. He's a new congressman, or recently elected congressman, hasn't even started the job yet, in New York, who just got busted in a whole web of lies. Now, the guy claimed to be a college graduate, worked for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup in some big-wig money-making job. Claimed to be a gay man, happily married gay man. Claimed to be Jewish, and his grandparents were Holocaust survivors. Okay? Recently, it's all come to light that it's all, as they say in Yiddish, meshugana. All right? Absolute trash. The guy has been lying about everything. Now, he didn't break any laws, and he made sure he mentioned that in his little apology tour. But he didn't break any laws. He just lied on his resume and on his campaign. All right? He never graduated college, any college whatsoever. I don't know if he even went to college. He never worked for Citigroup or Goldman Sachs. He said, I didn't work directly for them per se, so I fibbed a little bit on my resume. He's not Jewish. He's Catholic, and his correction to that was that his mother told him that his grandmother was Jewish, and then his mother converted to Catholicism. So while he's technically a Catholic, he considers himself, quote-unquote, Jew-ish. Sort of Jew. That's what he really meant by that. And he expected all of us to just know what that meant. When he said Jewish, he meant sort of Jew. Not actually Jewish. Also, the whole gay thing, still a question mark in his life. Technically, he's married to another gay guy currently. However, the dude was married to a lady for 5 years and coincidentally got divorced from this gal just before his first government campaign back in 2020 or something like that, or 2018 or whatever it was, right before his next run for congressman or whatever it was going to be. He lost that one, by the way. He got divorced from his wife and then campaigned as a gay guy. Now, given the benefit of the doubt to the community at large, that happens in real life. We've seen it in real life. Elton John, a prominent gay guy and singer. Everybody knows who Elton John is. He was married to a lady back in the day. All right? That's just one anecdotal example of that. It's a famous one, but that's proof positive that it is possible. But with this guy and his web of lies that he's created for himself, that he spun, nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. They haven't done any investigation into it just yet. I'm sure more information will come to light as January 3rd approaches, and this guy's supposed to take office starting January 3rd. So this is recording before then, obviously, but by the time you guys listen to this, it'll be past January 3rd. We'll have an answer. If he's going to resign, if they're going to force him out, what the deal is, because he ran his entire campaign on a web of lies. And I don't know any other term to use. That's why I keep using web of lies, but that's what it is. His entire campaign was fraudulent, fakery, pulled the wool over our eyes. And nobody pulls the wool over the eyes of a Gambini. It's my cousin Vinny right there. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. But this is just further proof that there are almost no good politicians in this country anymore. All they care about is winning elections and getting in power so that they can get that money and get that control. And you can call me the tinfoil hat crazy man all you want. The receipts are there every week in and week out. The receipts just keep showing up right at our doorsteps. So there you go, another shifty, shady, seedy politician. Man, we're doing another late night recording, so I'm all over the place mentally. But this is where the creative juices are flowing, so this is where I'm most comfortable doing it at. So I'm going to keep doing this because this is where the good stuff happens. And this is a silly, fun episode, so I figure we'll have a silly, fun time late at night recording. You can see the reflection in the back, sliding doors back there in the dungeon. It's going to be a good time. A little tired, a little wired. So here we go. Speaking of scumbags, world-renowned scumbag Andrew Tate was finally arrested for human trafficking suspicions. Now, this guy has been in the news and the media for a minute now for bragging about how he's a true masculine man and one of the few left. And he's got this whole fake online school. It's really just a scam to get broke dick dudes to pay to hear him talk about how men are better than women and how this is how they should assert their actual alpha dominance on the world, and how, women belong to him as a man. If you're dating a woman, you belong to him. The woman belongs to him. That's what I'm trying to get at. All this other stuff, and he has a bunch of other clips of him on podcasts and interviews where he's bragging about how he made his millions, not just from fighting, because he has been a mixed martial artist, but from tricking girls essentially into doing webcam. He's pimping them out on webcam websites, so that they can do sex stuff on webcams, and then he makes all the bag and gives, a couple bucks here and there, and then his bottom bitch gets a couple more bucks. And he's bragging about it like it's a normal thing. Like, I just found these opportunities for these bitches to come and work, and I gave them a better life. And that's right out of the pimp playbook. Go watch the South Park episode where Jimmy, not Jimmy, Butters becomes a pimp. That's exactly how they talk. And this guy's talking about how he's the only man left. So he got arrested for human trafficking. Here's the funniest part. Because his ego and his fake machismo and his pride and his stupidity and ignorance is what got him arrested. He got into a little online doo-doo with, I don't know what she is, gal, old lady, pretending to be a gal, Greta Thunberg. We've talked about her in the past, the supposed kid who dropped out of school to go travel around the world in private jets to give climate talks about how we're killing the climate and all this, how you doing? She spat off the mouth on Twitter about him, and then he responded, and in his video message response to her, bragging about how he has all these cars and he doesn't care about the environment and this and that, and he's ordering a pizza, right, in this video, and the pizza comes, and he's bragging oh, don't recycle these pizza boxes. Well, this idiot had the pizza boxes on camera with him, and it shows the name of the pizza on the box, Tony Toloni's Pizza in Romania, and the Romanian police were able to see this from the video and confirm that he was in fact in Romania, and they were able to arrest him on the charges and suspicions of human trafficking. So him and his brother got a knock on the door minutes after he posted that video, and he was off to the clink with Prison Mike. So good riddance to bad rubbish. For all you men out there listening to this show, that's not the example of what men are. And I'm looking into the camera now on YouTubeville. That's not what a man is. A man does not brag about pimping out women. He doesn't brag about owning women and that they belong to him, or that everyone else is living in the Matrix and he's doing whatever, pissing his money away on cars and whatever else he's doing. He's not a good example. Okay? Anyone who thinks so is sorely mistaken. I hope you take the LPDS step back and realize the error of your ways following that moron around. So there you go. That's that. Now, with that, we can roll right on into the good stuff, okay? We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Gobbledygook Bubblegum. Do you want a bubblegum that looks amazing, is highly touted, and is very popular, but is actually garbage? Then get yourself a punch and pack of Gobbledygook Bubblegum. Gobbledygook, how you doing? Tricks you with its fun name, its cool color schemes, and promises of a great chewing experience, but in reality it sucks worse than any other bubblegum you ever had in the past and leaves you empty and disappointed, and the only reason why you keep chewing it is to get your money's worth of the damn thing. So for a pack of 1,000 sticks of utter trash, visit the Gobbledygook, I can't even say this damn thing, the Gobbledygook website at www.wegotgot.com and use the promo code BALLBAGS for 29% off your first pack. This stuff sucks. The gum sucks. The whole experience is garbage. It's trickery. But they got a really, really good marketing scheme out there. And it sucks you in and offers you fake deals on buying it. And you get one bite into it, and the flavor is non-existent. It's gone and disappointed. Go buy yourself a pack. All right, the Cage Fact. I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about this one. This is a new one. I believe the Bone Crusher sent this to me, so shout out to the Bone Crusher for that. Long-time guest on the show. Nic Cage, in a recent interview, discussed how one of the things he hasn't done yet, professionally anyway, in his professional career, was to be in a musical. And he expressed interest in, like, saying he would like to be in a musical one day to kind of check the box and bolster his career resume up even more so, and add that to it. I forgot some of the ones he mentioned in the interview that he might be good. Not Jesus Christ Superstar. I don't think that was it. Maybe it was it. I don't know. But he did say in the interview that in the movie Wild at Heart, I think he sang in that one. I haven't seen that one yet, surprisingly. But he sang in that. He said he did okay in that. But he blew out his voice recently from one too many drunken karaoke nights singing Purple Rain. And he said that in the interview. That's a quote from him, that he blew his voice out singing Purple Rain and drunk karaoke. And there's actually some video out there on the internets of him. Some random, people out there in Vegas saw him and they recorded him singing Purple Rain drunk, and it was tremendous. I mean, it was a tremendous experience. Imagine going to karaoke, you're getting dragged out there by your gal, by gals you like and want to get with, so you just simp to them. You go karaoke even though you hate karaoke, but you go to karaoke anyway and pretend to sing because that's what they like to do. And you go there, and who's up on stage but the great one himself, singing a song from one of the all-time greats, Prince, in Purple Rain. And he's bearded, and he's got a Mick Ultra in one hand and a hot mic in the other. And he's belting out a choice number for you. That's an incredible sight to see. If I can experience that, I can die a happy guy. I can tuck myself away in this dungeon and die with a smile on my face. So hopefully he makes a musical happen, because I would love to hear about the behind the scenes of that whole fiasco. So good on him for that. And that's the Cage fact. All right. Moving on along to the junction. We'll spin the logo up. Like I mentioned earlier, we're doing questions and answers, okay? I put out on the Instagrams, I did that NGL app, Not Gonna Lie, I think it's Not Gonna Lie, where there's a whole bunch of different anonymous things you can do, and you post a link on your Instagram story, and people can share with their questions or games, confessions, whatever it might be. I chose the question one, or the random anonymous messages, and to try to get your comments and questions, sent them over. And we got a pretty good list of them. I only got to rifle through half of the ones I got on this episode, and we'll get to the second half at a later episode. And if you guys enjoy them, we'll keep doing it, because I like getting the questions, and it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable. I know I have the hotline, but phone numbers are not necessarily anonymous, so I get that completely. But these are completely anonymous. So I have no idea who asked these questions. I can kind of guess based on the seriousness or the joking nature of some of them, but we'll get right into it. All right, first question. Check my notes here on my computer. What's your favorite song? All right. I don't really have a favorite. There's a lot of songs, and several of you know this about me, that I'm a mental case. And I'll listen to a song I like if I'm feeling like in that sort of mood, or the song is just hitting something inside of me, so to speak. I'll listen to that song on repeat for days at a time. So we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of listens within a week span, all day, every day on a repeat. Literally, it's the song plays, the song plays again, the song plays again. It's just constant. That's what repeat is. It's not just I listen to it a couple times in a day and I go back to it. It is on my phone or my car or whatever all day, every day. That's the noise in the background you hear. It's that song. I don't know why I do it. I do it with movies sometimes too. I already mentioned how I watched the movie Warrior 182 straight days or something like that. It was ridiculous. The CD melted. I had to get a new CD. I had to get a new DVD for it. So that's how I am with stuff. And there's a lot of songs that do that for me. In college, when I made the baseball team, I used to listen to Guns N' Roses' November Rain and Hootie and the Blowfish, Let Her Cry. Those two songs before games on road trips. In fact, sometimes I would borrow the Wet Cats iPod. Remember the iPod with the little dial on it, the doo-doo-doo on there, that you would dial around to find the songs? Sometimes I would borrow his iPod if I forgot mine or something like that, and listen to the songs there when we were on the bus or the van driving over to a game. And I would listen to those two songs to get my mind right. I don't know why. Go listen to those songs. They're not like amp you up, get you pumped for a big game kind of songs. They're somber. They're kind of sad. They're sad feeling songs. But that's what I did. Now, so I don't have a favorite. That's a long answer to that one. I don't have a favorite song, but I will say my favorite song to look back on, it's not my favorite song, but it's my favorite memory, is the song. It's called No Easy Way Out. I discussed it previously with Nikki Sticks on an episode we discussed Rocky IV. It's from the Rocky soundtrack. It's in Rocky IV. They do a little, it's not a montage per se, but it's right after Apollo Creed dies. Spoiler alert, Apollo Creed dies. And Rocky's all sad, and he gets into his Ferrari, and the song pops off, and the Ferrari lights pop up, and he goes driving, and the song No Easy Way Out's playing. And I remember that song because my brother and I, when we were kids, we had bunk beds. I was on the top, he was on the bottom. He's a little heftier, so we didn't want him on the top. And these were World War I bunk beds that my great-grandfather took from the barracks. In fact, they even say U.S. carved into the wood on these beds. They're not even standard-sized beds. You have to get custom mattresses for these damn things. Anyway, we would go to bed as kids and duet that song. We would just naturally, we wouldn't even decide, we wouldn't game plan beforehand, like, okay, I'll sing this part, you sing this part. We would just start, and we were naturally hitting lyrics, alternating on lyrics until the hook, until the chorus, and then we're busting in, harmonizing, and doing the whole how you doing, and it was great. And that's the best memory I have, my fondest memory of a song, because it brings back that memory, and it shoots me right back to watching Rocky. And everybody knows how Rocky changed my life, so that's what I'll say. If we're going to go favorite song, that's the song, and that's why. Not because I think it's the best song out there, but it's the memories for me. So thank you for that question, Anonymous, whoever that was. All right, next question. This is a weird one. When you lay on your back next to a standing giraffe, how far does your nose pass the giraffe? Look, my nose is not that big, all right? I could see maybe like a goldfish fin or a smallmouth bass fin going through the water if I do the backstroke in the pool. But a giraffe is a little exaggerated there, fella or gal or whatever you are. But, thank you for the question all the same. I appreciate it. My nose is not that big. All right. Next question. We got a fuck, marry, kill situation here. FMK. What do we got? Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, or Maxine Waters. All right, so if you're not familiar with this game, there's 3 names. You got to pick one to F, one to marry, and one to kill. I don't know anything about these 3. All I know is that they're 3 corrupt politicians. They're old bags with old bag titties, except for Pelosi. And there are people I never want to associate in real life. But if I had to choose, and this is the part of the game, you got to choose. And I know that the 3 of them are listening on their AM radios because they're 100 years old, all of them. I'd probably kill Maxine Waters by tripping her, and she'll die right on the spot and turn to dust. I'd probably fuck Dianne Feinstein. I don't know anything about her. I just know she's old, and she's got like a leather face, and she's a corrupt politician. And I'd marry Nancy Pelosi. Now, here's why. 2 reasons why. I thought this particular one out in my head. Here's why. 1, she clearly has fake titties. So she's not going to be ruining any bowls of oatmeal dipping her bags in the bowl. She paid for those puppies, and you got to get your money's worth on those. And that's obviously a joke, folks, for all the serious people out there who want to clip that and call me a monster and an Andrew Tate wannabe. It's a joke. Relax, folks. All right? The second reason is that she's made so much money off of insider trading. I want that money. That's it. She's going to die any day now. And if I can marry her just in time to snag that inheritance, I'm doing that. So I'm marrying her. The other 2, forget about them. All right. Next question. Thank you for that, whoever that was. I have an idea because they always ask political questions, so thanks for that, buddy. All right. Next question. Should parents spank their kids? Here's an interesting one. Because on the surface, like right off the bat, and I know I'm probably going to get heat for this, but you all know on the surface, like, you never hit your kids, you never beat your kids. That's terrible. And it is terrible. You never want to beat your kids. But I got spanked as a kid, okay? I didn't get abused. I didn't get beat. But I got spanked as a kid when I was out of line, when I was being a smart ass, when I was running my dick sucker to my parents, or I wasn't listening, I was getting into trouble. We got a little bit of the Italian, how you doing? All right? And it worked, okay? So I'm not saying you got to beat the shit out of your kids. That's not the way to go. You don't want your kids to be afraid of you. What you want to do is you want to find a way to effectively discipline them so that they associate the bad thing that you don't want them to do with a bad consequence. Okay? And if you're only able to do that with a little light spanking or something like that, or a forceful grab, that's up to you. Okay? I don't know how I'm going to be if I ever find a woman stupid enough to want to have kids with me. But that's I think the goal when you're disciplining kids. You want them to know that the consequences of their negative actions will be far worse than the negative action themselves. So you want them to be deterred from doing bad things. Find a way to do that. Don't beat your kids. But I do know spanking in the Libretti household was effective and clean and above board. Nobody called DIFUS and CPS on us. We're fine. Okay? Nothing was illegal. Relax. All right. Thank you for that question. Next question. Biggest lie society is telling us. That's a tough one because there's a lot out there, and I tinfoil hat things a lot for the good of this show sometimes. I think the overall biggest lie, and this is jaded because I've worked with the government for over a decade now, is I believe the biggest lie is that the government is working for us, the people, and is there to serve us. That might have been the intent when they wrote the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all that, but that's not what's going on right now. Okay? In fact, anytime I see something run by the government or, being promoted by the government, I'm immediately weary of it. Case in point, they can't even run the U.S. Postal Service anymore. JPL2, may he rest in power, retired from the U.S. Postal Service and it went down the tubes. He was the only one holding that place together. They've gone bankrupt several times. They can't get it together. They can't get your packages in on time for anything ever. It's a total shit show, and that's run by the government. So anything that has a government stink on it, federal loans, the post office, health insurance, anything, I'm weary of it. I don't trust those boobs because you get guys like George Santos in there who literally lied about everything about his existence in life just to win the election. That's who is running our government. And that's why I think that's the biggest lie. Because you got jabronis like him and crooks in there running the shit show. Now I'm hot. We got to cool off. We got to change the question. Thank you for that. It's a good one. It's an interesting one. I'm actually curious to hear what other people might have to say about that one. Because I want to understand what other people are thinking, what their experiences are. Because other people who live different lives have different ideas of what might be the biggest lie that they're being told. So I'm curious to see what that might be. Maybe that'll be a question for a future episode, like a fan feedback type of poll. How you doing? So thank you for that one. All right, next question. Who do you think you are? I don't know. I'm Libretti. So thanks for the question. Next one. Oh, I see what's going on here. What gives you the right? Nothing gives me the right. The Constitution. This is from The Office when Steve Carell's character, Michael Scott, is doing his exit interview of Toby, the HR guy, and he wants to just bash him with questions, but the new HR replacement, his future wife, comes in to take the questions as well as the HR rep, and then Pam comes in to take notes, and he can't ask the questions he wants to, so he has to sort of reword them. It's very funny. If you haven't seen the show, go see it. We have a whole discussion about it in previous episodes. I'm sure you've seen it. Whether you like it or not, you know what I'm talking about. So thank you for that. All right, next question. Ooh, this is a good one. When is it okay to lie? That's another tough one because that brings in the whole moral, ethical compass, sort of how you're doing, because everybody in this country, in this world, has a different moral, ethical threshold in their lives. I would say to protect national security, part of people's jobs in the government and the military is to work undercover, maintain certain pieces of information close to the chest so that people, if the information gets out there, it can have grave consequences to the national security of this country, or to a specific operation, or to some sort of a police undercover sting operation or whatever it is. So obviously you're not going to go, if you're undercover as a drug dealer or whatever, you're not going to go tell the truth and be like, no, I'm actually a cop, because you're going to die. The operation's going to be foiled. They're going to start killing other people, and it's going to be a mess. So there's that. But then there's also that ethical question of like, well, isn't there another way to do it without lying? Because you don't want to be a liar. It's tough. It's tough to have that internal discussion with yourself, even if you're in those jobs of like, am I going to be okay with this, with lying about my existence for whatever reason it might be? And sometimes people tell you it's for worthy causes, and it's not. And you got to deal with that too. You got to navigate that too. So that's a tough question, and it's a good question. I appreciate whoever asked that one. I think the only times for me personally would be when it's part of my job to protect national security, if I have to, and if it actually makes sense to protect national security, people's lives, what have you. The tough question though, because what I consider to be a worthy cause might not be considered that by somebody else. So there you go. That's a good one. Real good question. Thank you for that. All right, next question. Rolling right along here, folks. What did you learn in 2022? Now, I learned a lot of stuff. Everybody should be constantly trying to learn new things every day, let alone every year, so that by the end of the year, you should have tons of stuff you learned. And I certainly did. I learn every week from this show, from feedback, from topics, stream of conscious, flapping my gills. I start learning new things on the fly. I learned the biggest thing I learned, I guess, was more about myself, what I'm capable of, how I should live my life better. And again, like I try to tell everybody as well, we should always strive to improve ourselves all the time anyway. And I think I learned a lot about how to do that with myself, and to care less about what others think of my decisions or what I'm doing with my life. As long as I have a good plan ahead, I know the reasons why I'm doing my why, if you will. Then and I learned how to sort of shun and block out the hate and the judgmental looks and the, ooh, you're doing that. I'm gonna be honest. I've gotten a lot of heat recently for my decision to move to Texas and to do this whole weird, discombobulated lifestyle I'm choosing to live, where I'm working remotely, living in Texas most of the year. I'm coming up to New Jersey to the dungeon for the winter months to spend holidays with my family, to help my parents out. And then in the middle of all that, once a month flying to Pennsylvania to do Air National Guard duty. People think that's stupid. They're like, you're going to run yourself ragged. And I might. I don't know. But I got a lot of side eyes when I told people that, because everyone's always asking, how you doing, what you doing with your life these days? And I got a lot of side eye for that. And I get it. And I don't think people are judging me or going to defriend me for it, but I understand their confusion. But I've learned to better block out the side eye, if you will, the proverbial side eye, and go for what I'm, go for the gold, if you will, and do what I'm trying to do here. So they could be right. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. Sometimes for me, and you guys know this, the best way for me to learn is trial by fire. Learning the hard way. Just getting after it, doing the do, and seeing how it works. So you guys will see live on a week-to-week basis how it's going. I'll tell you right now, I'm driving down. I'll be down there by the time you guys listen to this. But within 3 weeks, I got to fly up to Pennsylvania for a week long of guard duty. And I still have no one to watch my dog. I don't have a vet. I don't have a trainer, nothing yet. So I got to figure that out. I got to fly up there for a week. So it's going to be interesting. But I learned to take in the appropriate amount of critical feedback and to block the blind hate and the side eyes that don't actually help me out much. So, great question. Good stuff. All right, next question here. What did the Founding Fathers get wrong? What do you think the Founding Fathers got wrong? Tough one because it's easy to Monday morning quarterback this stuff. This is, we're talking almost 300 years now since the Founding Fathers did any sort of founding. I think slavery is an easy answer to go with. They kept slavery on the books, and if you ever watched the musical 1776, I believe they harp on that a little bit, about how there was a lot of back and forth back in 1776 on whether that should be outlawed then or what it was, and they chose to keep it in at the time, and that didn't really go over too well. So that's an easy one, I think. I also think, again, this is something, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. What's the other saying? Hindsight 2020. I think there's still too much power with not enough accountability for the U.S. government. And that's only because of how the government, the people in the government running the government have hijacked the system, if you will. I don't think the intent of the Founding Fathers was to do that. And in fact, the original, paperwork, that the stuff that they wrote seems pretty solid on paper about the three branches of government and how they're all holding each other accountable. But in reality, it's not really working out so well, because you got Congress and Senate, the legislative branch, writing all these laws that benefit them and make them money and give them more power and control with less accountability. Then you got the president, administration, executive come in and do their executive orders that only the Supreme Court can veto, if you will, or shoot down. But the Supreme Court judges are appointed by the presidential executive branch. So you get where I'm going here, okay? They all got themselves lined up in their own branches and teams so that the accountability is just lost in the sauce. And the only people holding the bill are us suckers and the citizens that, supposedly vote these jabronis in. I don't know what we're doing. So I think that would be the biggest one. Again, that's an easy, it's easy to say that. I was never back living in 1776 with a wig on and buckles on my shoes making these decisions. So who the hell knows? All right, good question, though. Next question here. What's the best dessert? Now, I don't know if you want my opinion on my favorite dessert or what the objective best dessert is. I will tell you both of those are almost impossible to answer. Everybody's palate's different, so objectively speaking, you can't answer that question. For me, though, I still can't answer that question. I love desserts. Everybody knows that. I'm a dessert guy. If I can only eat desserts and maintain this 10 of a figure, that's what I would do. But I can't really choose. It depends on what I'm feeling. My go-to usually is some sort of cookie with chocolate, maybe, or just chocolate in general. That's an easy go-to, like a chocolate chip cookie, Reese's peanut butter cup. What else? Cakes. I love cake. I like pie, ice cream. Ice cream is one of the only things I can eat and never get full off of it. Several times in the past, I'll grab a quart of ice cream, not a pint, a quart, because I have a problem. And I'll sit there, I'll be watching a movie, and all of a sudden, people usually will eat, and then they're like, oh man, I'm feeling kind of full here. Not with me. I'll be eating this sucker, and the next thing you know, I'm looking down, I'm like, oh, I got to get another quart of ice cream, I'm out. So what I've been doing is I've been buying pints instead. I haven't actually bought ice cream in a while. Mainly for this reason, but I'll buy the pints instead. So that if I'm gonna house ice cream, it's just gonna be a smaller portion, and then it's empty, and then I have no more ice cream. So I can't go back and feed the beast again, chase the dragon, if you will, with the ice cream, because I'll just keep eating it. I don't know what it is. And you would think I can't do that with milk. I can't just sit here and drink milk all day because I get sick. But not ice cream. Don't know why, but it gets me. But I like all desserts. I can't. Cannolis, sfogliatelle, as some people call them, piscadilles. Italian, any sort of Italian pastry. I can't get enough of it. Greek pastries, baklava. How do you pronounce it? Baklava? Balaclava? That's a hat thing. That's a hat. That's one of those things that goes over your head and under your chin, but not on your face, not like a ski mask. I don't know. Desserts, all of them. Tough, too tough to answer. That's a good question. It's a fun question because I could sit here all day and rattle off dessert daddies, and I'll never pick a favorite. I can rack and stack all day and I never find a number one. So there you go. All right, next question. Who is your favorite trans athlete? Lost the table here, folks. I don't know. I don't follow athletes based on their gender. I follow the sports I like, and whoever the players are that I like the best, I like the best. I watch baseball. I watch football. Giants and Yankees. I watch soccer every once in a while because I used to play soccer. I used to love hockey. I used to be super into hockey. I watch it occasionally now. I guess if I had to pick, I'd pick Heather Swanson. Now, if you don't know who that is, go look her up. Go look up Heather Swanson, trans athlete, and let me know what you think of her abilities and skills. I think she's, objectively speaking, probably the most dominant trans athlete we've seen in recent history. So, thank you for the question. I don't want to call it a good question. I know what they're trying to do here with this little troll attempt, but you're not going to get me. Go look up Heather Swanson. All right. Have you ever gone skinny dipping? Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you the story about it. Maybe. No, I'm not telling you the story on this show about that experience. There are maybe 2 or 3 people that know about it, and that's that. So, good question. Next question here. This is not a question. It just says, marry me. Yeah. Find a local courthouse, set it up, we'll get married. If you're a guy, it'll be great for my future campaign for New York congressman, apparently. If you're a gal, my mother, Crazy Carol, would be quite happy that I'm getting married. So, sure, let's do it. Why not? Next question here. Who you trying to get with? Well, actually, I'm not. I'm not trying to get with anybody. I don't know what kind of question it is. Who am I? Who? Do you know? Whoever asked this question, who do you think I'm trying to get with? Girls? Anybody who'll give me the time of day? I don't know. If you ask, my top 5 fan, Tony Saccone, he'll go on a diatribe telling you why you shouldn't be asking these sort of questions, and he'll defend my honor. But then he'll also tell me I should be trying to probably get with somebody. And by get with, date and marry and have kids and all that stuff that Italians want you to do, so that you're not living in their basement anymore. But yeah, I'm not really trying to get with anybody. I'm trying to get with everybody, all you guys. Love you. All right, next question. What are your 2023 goals and resolutions? Now, I'm sure you heard the beginning of this episode and probably got a little deflated when I popped off about how I think resolutions are stupid. And I'm sure you've also listened to previous episodes on New Year's when I've talked about how I think resolutions are stupid, because I think they are. I think this is an excuse for people to think that they can just erase their stupidity and mistakes, pretend they never happened, and then make fake goals, and then they go and do the same bullshit year in and year out. Now, if you're acknowledging your mistakes and using this as a springboard to learn and grow from here on out, that's a different story. But most people aren't doing that. they're paying a lip service so that they can get the likes on the Instagrams and the Facebooks, and then they're just going to go back and do the same tomfoolery that they always do. This is why the first 2 weeks of January the gyms are packed, and by February they're back to empty again. Because that's what people do. That's why I don't like resolutions per se. I do have goals that I'd like to get accomplished within the year. Now, I've had these goals already set. I've been thinking about this stuff a long time now. So I started, cooking this stuff up in my head long before the New Year's, stuff hit. So I don't want to consider them, 2023 resolutions or goals. There are short-term, mid-term, long-term goals I'm always constantly updating and trying to accomplish and accomplishing or failing at or what have you. So I do have some goals going on in 2023, I guess you can say. I'd like to do some more content for the LPDS. I'm trying to figure out how that's all going to work. But I do have some goals in my life. Save more money so I can pay off my student loans faster. Have some short, midterm, long-term goals in that world. So I got a lot of things cooking. A lot of things cooking up here in this crazy, stupid, tired brain of mine. I just don't consider them, New Year's resolutions or goals, because these are prepared well in advance and extend way past just, a 1 year kind of how you doing. So, but thank you for that question. All right, what else we got? What are you most excited for, reference your move to Texas? I don't know. Honestly, I'm excited about a lot of things. One, I'm excited to be, sort of on my own again. I can build a routine. I like to build solid routines in my life for some of the checkbox items, I consider them. I don't like to call them mundane things, because I try to avoid mundane garbage things in my existence, but checkbox items, like things I have to do each day, every day to get through, eat, work, stuff like that. So I like to have routines so that I know that stuff's getting done. It's out of the way each day, and I can move on to, more important things to me in my life, like working out, hanging out with friends, things like that. So moving down to Texas is going to get me back to that routine again. I have a little bit of a routine here at the dungeon, but it's tough because my routine is constantly changing and being modified to fit to my parents' lifestyle as well, because I live with my parents right now. And I don't want to they got their own thing going on. And it's cockamamie and sporadic, and they don't really have a set schedule of anything that they do in their lives except go to work. So I have to kind of navigate around that. But that's what I'm okay with that. They're my parents. It's their house. It's their lives. I'm just crashing in their basement right now. So I'm cool with that, and I'm cool with doing that when I come back next winter time, because I'm here to help them. I'm here for them, and to see my family for the holidays and stuff. So whatever their life is, that's what my routine is going to be. But I have my own shit going on, and I want to get back to doing that stuff. So that's exciting. I think what I'm more excited about is once I get into that routine and get I can check those boxes early and often, I'll be able to have more time to spend with friends. I haven't been able to do that a lot here up in New Jersey. And I feel bad about that, because I still have friends up in New Jersey, and they have lives too, and we haven't been able to match up our schedules to be able to hang out at all. I've been up here for 4 months, and it's sad, and I have really no excuse for that, so I'm a little bummed about that, and that's on me. But getting down to Texas, I'll be able to do that a little bit better. Maybe I'll be able to date. You can find out who I'm trying to get with then. I'm not sure about that. I should have the time to do that. I'll have more time to explore my hobbies I like to do. I want to start flying again. I want to start taking piano lessons again. I want to start doing more woodwork stuff again. So I'll have the time to be able to do that. I'm excited for that, and excited to be with some good friends who live down in that area again, and be able to make more memories and have good stories that I could bring to you guys here on the LPDS and in the Junction. So a lot of things to be excited about. I'm still sad about leaving my family, but I guess I'm sort of used to it, and that's not a good answer, but I'm sort of used to that at this point. I'll be back again for 2 to 3 months in winter time, so they'll get their fill of me, no problem. So good question there. Last question of the night. Okay, we're going to cut it after this question because I got, a bunch more that we'll do in part 2 in next week's episode. But last question is, do you have any ideas on how you want to take the junction to the next level? He's referring to the jabroni junction here in the LPDS, of course. And yeah, I do. And it's part of like the 2023 goals and resolutions, I guess you could say. I don't know how to approach some of these things and how I want to take it because, I don't know, the show's not popular. I hate to say it. You guys have been great. The people listening are my ride or dies. But some of the stuff I want to do kind of relies on a bigger fan base to justify doing it. I have a lot of good content I like to record and put out there through maybe like a Patreon or something like that, because I think these are really good like lessons and entertaining lessons, if you will, and more specific, fine-tuned things I'd like to get out there to people and help others. But unfortunately, time is money, and I don't have the time or the money to do that stuff, for free right now. So I want to be able to do that. I would love to have like a Patreon that people can subscribe to, and that they get a little bit more into the weeds on some of these lessons that we talk about. And with that comes more one-on-one interaction with people and fans. I call them fans, but with the people, and we can customize, content and discussions and lessons and teachings and coachings and what have you. I'd love to be able to do that with the Junction. I'd like to be able to talk about more stuff that I really don't feel comfortable talking about on open internets. And that's something that a Patreon or a subscription site would be able to help out with. Like the skinny dipping story. I'm sure you guys would love to hear about that one, but there's no chance I'm putting that on the open internets. No chance. Now, I didn't do anything illegal. I will say that. We've never done anything illegal or disgusting like that. But it's an embarrassing, stupid, silly story of doing skinny dipping. So I'm not going to put that out here on YouTube land for people to listen to, unless I strike it super rich and I don't care anymore. But that's not the case. I still have a job, and I have to maintain that, and I can't be putting stories like that out there or other content out there, because then I will have no job and no way to live and survive monetarily. So, that's one of the ideas. So in the meantime, though, I'm still working on new video editing skills, different ways of getting the content out there to the people, trying to engage more with the fans. I like doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do. Is one of the reasons why I started this whole thing in the first place, is to get you guys your take on things and to interact with you in some way, shape, or form. So any way I can bolster that, whether it's more fans or more direct interaction, I want to do that. So how I'm going to do that, I don't exactly know yet, but it's on the list of goals, and figuring it all out. So if you guys have ideas on that, please let me know, and we'll kind of go from there. But all right, that's all. That's it. That's all we got right now. That's the last question of the night, of the day, of the episode. So tune in to the next week's episode, because let's see what I got on my notes. This is just the questions. You can't really see it here in YouTube land. That's just the questions for now. I didn't finish writing them all down. There's no answers to them yet, but more good questions. So I'm excited to answer those and to get into those. I'm sure more funny stories will pop in, into the old noggin here on, when I answer those. So tune into that. Before we go, though, obviously, we got to start the new year off right. We're going to talk about the big three. All right, for those of you, new audience members, new fans of the show, the big three are the three pillars of the LPDS to staying strong and being a better, happier, more positive, grateful person, and to spreading that, to spread that positivity and goodness throughout. So number one, exercise every day. Anything you got to do to get the juices flowing in your body so that you can feel physically, mentally, and emotionally healthier and better. That's what you want to do. You got to do it. Anything. Go for a walk, jumping jacks, anything to do that. You want that triad of health, because that'll springboard you to a better lifestyle overall. If you have physical health, mental health, and emotional health on lock, you're in good shape, folks. That's what being in good shape is all about, okay? So do that. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a good person, all right? When the opportunity presents itself, when someone says something stupid online or something you don't agree with or whatever, instead of just firing off a shit talk and being a dickhead and spouting off at the gills with your negativity, just take the step back, the LPDS step back, take a deep breath, and just don't do it. If you want to take it a step further, you can instead comment with something a little bit more positive or just without any negativity in it. Hey, I'm sorry you feel that way. I hope everything's okay in your life. Or just don't. If it's too hard for you to do baby steps here, just don't do it. Just don't do anything. Okay, the big thing we like to preach here, not that this is Scientology or anything like that, we want to preach to limiting the negativity. That doesn't really make sense. I just realized that as I said it now. What we want to try to preach here is don't fight negativity with negativity. Okay? That's not going to... All that does is double the amount of negativity and shit going on in the world. Okay? The best way to handle that is to really not do anything at all. And if you're okay with that, and if you're comfortable doing that every day, you can then take it a step further and start spreading good actively out there in person or on your social media, the keyboard cowboy. All right. Number three, the most important one, is to be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. I was actually just talking about this earlier with JPL3. We were talking about someone we know, and he was saying how, man, I wish this person would take a second to be more grateful for the things they have in their life. Because if they actively get the brain juices flowing and thinking about it, they'll change their muscle memory into constantly thinking about it eventually. Again, it's baby steps approach, but if you could think about one thing in your life every day and actively stop and think about it, man, toilet, food, in my refrigerator, a roof over my head, my friends, my family that's here. And man, I'm grateful for that. Genuinely be grateful for that thing existing in your life. You'll feel better. You just wake up in the morning and think about it. I discussed this previously. There was this thing called the 5-minute journal out there. Maybe that's one thing I'll do one of these days. Maybe I'll put out a LPDS journal or something like that, where you wake up every day and they told you to write, in the morning, write 3 things you're grateful for, and then in the evening, 3 things you're grateful for. Now, that was excessive right off the bat. It was sort of a recipe for failure for most people because that's a lot of things right off the bat. So I say start with 1, just 1 a day. Wake up, think about 1 good thing that you're grateful for that you have in your life, and you can write it down or you can just think about it. And then after you get in the muscle memory of doing that every day in the morning, maybe think about 2 things, or maybe at lunchtime you think about it. You just start slowly expanding that to the point where you're constantly thinking about the good things in your life and seeing the negative things as opportunity to grow and be better, as opposed to things holding you down. And I'm telling you guys, if you follow the big 3 every day, slowly but surely, your life will get better. I promise you. It's not the magic pill. You're not just going to wake up and be like, I followed the big 3, I'm healed. Everything's better now. But if you just actively think about that stuff, you want to have a New Year's resolution. Start with that. Each day, one thing to follow the big three. Go for a walk. Don't answer the social media bullshit. And be thankful you have, your family around, or a good friend, or, a car that works, whatever it is. That's it. That's 3 things right there. You're done for the day. And you just keep doing that each day. It's so simple in concept. You'll get there. We will all get there. Okay? So make that your 2023 resolution, folks. That's all I got today. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to call the hotline. I love people when they call on the hotline. It makes things fun and interesting for a lot of different reasons, mainly because it's such a shit show for me to figure out how to make it sound, high quality on the recording here. So maybe I'll record a behind the scenes of me trying to figure that out, because it is a circus act. But call the hotline, 202-670-1114. Call with your questions, your comments, your ideas, advice you need, advice you want to give, whatever it might be. Call it in. I didn't do hotline today. I have some hotline calls, but I'll do those. If we have time next episode, I'll throw in the hotline call. If not, we'll get to it in a future. But I didn't forget about the people who called in recently. I got them. They're great messages, so stand by for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell your friends and enemies and all those how you doings on Apple, on YouTube, on Spotify. I'm trying to get it on Google Play or whatever it's called, and we'll spread the good word of the LPDS over here. So thank you guys again. I love you all. Happy New Year. Stay strong.